Hello, how is everyone doing today? Today we're going to be talking about cybersecurity. There are 3 different badges that cadets can earn dealing with cybersecurity, and today we're going to start the process of earning the badge of the cybersecurity basics. So cyber, just to break it down just a little bit, cyber means all things related to computers, information technology, virtual reality, things like that. Security means being free from danger or threat. So cybersecurity is all about keeping computers and all of the data inside the computers safe. Now more than ever, we're using computers. With us being home with the COVID-19, we're all on our computers. That's what you're doing right now. You're probably watching me from a phone, a tablet, a computer. But even before COVID-19, people were using them in all areas of their lives. They were doing their shopping online, their banking online, communication. It's a form of entertainment. You can watch your favorite shows on your computer or on your phone now. So keeping all of that information safe is what cybersecurity is all about. So like I said, today you'll be earning some steps towards the Cybersecurity Basics badge. There's some things that we're going to talk about today. Of course, cybersecurity, which is the protection of all digital devices such as phones, computers, tablets, just protecting all of those against any kind of an attack. Encryption is the process of encoding a message so that people need a secret key or a password to read it. We're also going to go over two-factor authentication. Sorry about that, y'all. That's an extra layer of cybersecurity that requires 2 different types of validation, like a username and a password, and a unique code that may be sent to your phone. It may be emailed to you. And you have to do all of those things before you're allowed access. We're also going to go over man in the middle. That's a type of cyber attack in which a hacker intercepts a message between 2 entities in order to spy on them or steal their information. And that'll make a little bit more sense here in a little bit. So, the internet lets people all over the world connect with each other and find information easily. During this time, have you been having virtual meetings? Have you been visiting with your teacher? Maybe loved ones far away that you're not able to go see? That's what we're talking about. You can connect with anyone on the internet, and you can do that pretty easily nowadays. It can make life easier, but it can also be riskier. People store a lot of private information on their computers, on their phones, and on their tablets. There are things called hackers. They're actually people. I don't know why I call them things. There are people called hackers, and they're always trying new ways to collect your data. So, learning how to keep your information safe is an important computer skill that you're going to learn. Now, after you've learned this badge, you'll know how hackers steal information online and steps that you can take to protect your data. I'm going to take a drink really quick, pardon me. So, do you think it would be fun to have a secret language that only you and your friends knew? Do some of y'all already have that? Have you done something similar to that? Well, you'd need to create your own secret code in order to do so. Cryptography is the process of writing and solving codes. When you take a message and you turn it into a code, you're encrypting it. When you turn the code back into a readable message, then you decrypt it. And it's easy to decrypt a message if you have the encryption key. It's going to show you how the message was changed to make it unreadable. But if you don't have the key, you have to figure the code out on your own. Decrypting a code without the key is called cracking a code. Now, when you send a text or an email, your computer or your phone, whatever you're sending it from, automatically encrypts that message for you. Then the receiving computer or phone, wherever you're sending it, automatically decrypts it. I know that seems a little confusing, but we've got an exercise for you that'll kind of help you understand. So in the comments, there's going to be, and I think it's going to be backwards, this message right here, this little guy right here. And what it has on it is it's got a code that you can use to make messages for your friends, for your family, whatever. And it's going to help you understand what an encryption is, okay? Now, I made mine a little bit, I'm going to see if you can see a little closer. I made the top row all one color so that I didn't get confused. Okay, so if you see here, A in this new encryption, the letter A is actually now F. The letter B is actually now Q. And you can write a word, like if you were to write the word hello, instead of writing out hello, you would actually write out SWYYD. That doesn't look like hello to me, but to your friend or to your family member that has this encryption code, they're gonna know how to read it. Now I've also made a code just for y'all. It's gonna be backwards here, so I'm gonna have that included in the comments as well. So with your key, I want you to correct these codes, okay, so that you can see what message I'm sending you. So that's a fun thing for you guys to do. So after you get a handle on it, like first you can spell the word hello, and it shows you how to do that in the comments here on the paper. Once you do hello, then try to crack the two messages that I've sent to you, and then try making your own and seeing if your family and friends can understand it. It's a really fun exercise. I had a good time playing with it earlier. So, passwords. Passwords are really important. You have to have them for almost everything that you do online. So every time that you set up an account on your computer or on your phone, you have to create one. And that account, it's just a way for a website or an app to know who you are. Okay, so if you have email, if you keep returning schoolwork, if you play video games online, you've created an account. Now, you likely have multiple accounts. Like I know I have multiple accounts, different things that I belong to. I have an account that I have to log into. And you have to create a new password for every account. And that can be a lot. So sometimes people will use the same passwords for their accounts, and that's a bad idea. And I have to admit, in the past, I've been guilty of it. I had one password that I used for everything so that I wouldn't forget. But then it comes along where you have to change your password every so often, and then I had all different kinds of passwords going on. So I finally made myself a password log, and I keep it in a very safe place. So that may be something that you may look into doing. Having a short password, having a password that doesn't have any numbers in it. It doesn't have uppercase and lowercase letters or special characters, meaning like the @ symbol, exclamation mark, a question mark, things like that. Having passwords that don't have those in it makes it a lot easier for hackers to figure out your password. A simple password is much easier to guess. Now, I don't know if any of y'all watch TV. I watch a lot of crime shows, and it seems like every time that the police go in and maybe they're having to go through someone's apartment and try to get into their computer, they start looking around the house and they see a picture of a pet, and maybe that pet's name is Rosie. Like I have a pig named Rosie. And so maybe they try Rosie, boom, it's a password they're in. Okay, does that make sense? So using passwords that aren't real personal and that do have upper, lowercase, and special characters in them, that's gonna make your password become a lot stronger and a lot harder to be guessed or to be hacked. So you might wanna keep those things in mind. So, two-factor authentication, I'm having a hard time speaking today, y'all. Two-factor authentication. I had to say it slow. Some computer systems use something called two-factor, I'm gonna say it slow, authentication. That means the person wanting to get into the account must have two things that they prove in order to gain access. So for example, if you've ever been picked up at school by a grown-up, you have actually been in two-factor authentication. Most schools use this to make sure that the grown-up is allowed to pick up the student. And first, the grown-up has to show a photo ID, like a driver's license, something like that. And then the school also checks to make sure that the person matches the person on the ID. Like, they're not gonna just take an ID and be like, oh, okay. No, they're gonna make sure it's the person on the ID. Then the school is also gonna check the form that your parent or your guardian completed at the beginning of the school year listing who is allowed to pick you up. If that person isn't on the list, then the school's gonna call your parent or your guardian to make sure that it's okay. So the photo ID and the list are two different factors, and that is the two-factor authentication. I don't know why I'm having problems with that word, but I hope that helps make a little bit more sense to you. So in your computers, sometimes you need both a password and a special number code that gets sent to your cell phone in order to get into a computer account. A special algorithm creates a new number code every time that you log in, and this is all keeping you safe. So that code is a kind of a number puzzle. If hackers want to get into an account with two-factor authentication, they have to figure out what the number code is, but it changes all the time, and that's a really tricky puzzle to solve. So that's keeping you safer. Because passwords can be easy to hack, cybersecurity specialists have added more layers to get into an account beyond your username and passwords. This is called MultiFactor Authentication. Some send a randomly generated code to your cell phone. Some ask for a fingerprint or scan of your eye. Like for me, to get into my work computer, I use a fingerprint. It's this finger right here, and that's how I get into my computer. Some actually have a physical key that looks like a USB stick or a flash drive. All of these are helping keep the information in that computer much, much safer. So, now we're going to talk a little bit about man-in-the-middle attacks. I know that sounds kind of strange, but think of it this way. Have you ever played Keep Away or Monkey in the Middle? It's a game where players throw a ball to each other while trying to keep one player from catching it. That player, or the monkey in the middle, tries to intercept the ball. They try to catch the ball as it's being thrown from one person to another. Computer hackers are trying to do the same thing with information you send through the internet. So think about computer hackers as the monkey in the middle, okay? They try to intercept your information as it travels from your computer or your phone to its destinations, to whoever you're sending it to. So imagine you're sending a text to your friend and the monkey in the middle is a hacker, okay? So this type of hacking is the man-in-the-middle attack. And the best way to keep a hacker from stealing your information while it's on the way to its destination is to be sure you're using a secure internet server. A secure server is one that isn't open to everyone. To use it, you have to have a password, and it limits what others can intercept while you're online. Like if you've ever been at a library, even at the library, they have it so that there are certain sites you cannot go to because those particular sites are known for hackers getting in. Like McDonald's will have free Wi-Fi, but it's not always a secure site. So especially if you're sending sensitive information, like if you're trying to submit your homework or whatever, make sure that you are on a secure network that you've had to use a password to sign into. Okay, so man-in-the-middle attacks. Information that travels on the internet goes in packets, but some of the pieces of the packet come from different sources and do not travel together. So man-in-the-middle attacks are one reason why it's important to connect over that secure network that we just talked about before we send or receive messages. Now, we can't always control what happens to the packets on their way to their destination. So when you send something, you can't control what happens between you sending it and the person receiving it, but you can make sure that the network that you're on is secure as possible. Sometimes an attacker launches a man-in-the-middle attack to spy on your data, but other times they're trying to change the message. So when they're spying on your data, they're just kind of watching what you're doing, seeing if there's something that they want to get their hands on, seeing if there's going to be some bank information sent, or seeing if there's some really important information that they want to get. So the ultimate goal of the packets, the things that you're sending, to get to the message recipient, but the packets should not all follow the same route. So if you're tagged by a malicious attacker while you have a packet, like before you send it, then the information is shown to this malicious attacker, like they can see it before it's sent. That can be a problem because then they can possibly change that information, and that's things that we're trying to avoid. So always make sure you're signing in from what? A secure website. Exactly. You guys got it. You guys all probably know this, but it's still things to think about. So what types of information do you think an attacker might want to collect by spying on you in this way? Do you think they could get into your email messages? Maybe get your login credentials, like your login, your username and your password, things like that. You may not have a bank account yet, but your parents may. They can get bank account information if you're not signing in from a secure site. So these are all things that we're definitely wanting to avoid. So hopefully this little bit that we've talked about today will help you start thinking about the things that you're doing online while you're home. Make sure that your passwords are strong. Make sure that you're using secure sites. If you're sending something, that is very sensitive, like homework, bank information, things like that. Pardon me, I have allergies, folks. Allergies. And then there are certain things, I wasn't going to cover this today. I was going to save it for next time, but I'm going to go ahead and cover this. There are scams out there. People just wanting to grab you and pull you in. They can be an email. If you happen to be old enough to have a Facebook, it can be on Facebook. And I'm going to read you a couple that are pretty easy to suck people in and to get them to start thinking, oh, this is a great deal. Because there's a saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. So here's a few examples. And I'm going to be reading, so I'll be looking down. Poetry contest went up to $5,000. So that right there, $5,000, that sounds great. I'm pretty good at poetry, so let me see what I can do here. Now, so here's how this scam works. You submit your poem to a poetry contest. Although you didn't win the grand cash prize, you and everyone else who's entered the contest receives a notification that your poem has been selected for inclusion in a special anthology, which you can purchase for just $49.95. So all those big words mean you have won. Your poem is going to be published. You just have to send us $49.95 to help this along the way. So you send the money in and you never hear from them again. You never see your poem published and you never hear from them again. That's a scam. They get people that way. Here's another one. Work from home for $75 an hour. Well, that sounds great. I'd love to work for $75 an hour. So here's how this scam works. Hackers can tell what you're doing online if they've chosen you. So while job searching, you receive an email from a work-at-home company that promises high pay rates for entry-level work. That means somebody just starting out. But what they really want to do is collect as much personal information from you as they can, or steal money from you by asking you to pay up front for job training or access to a particular website. So they get people in by saying, if you just apply here, we'll get you hooked up. So then you're going to be giving them your birthday, your social security number, where you live, all of those things. They're going to have it now. Or let's say they tell you the training that you need to start costs $69.95. It's this website right here. So you pay your $69.95 online, and it's not a real website. They've got your money. You never hear from them again. Here's another one all you pretty Girl Scouts could get scammed on. You could be a model. No experience necessary. Here's how this scam works. You receive an email or a social media message from a modeling scout. They tell you that you have what it takes to succeed as a model. They offer to set up your first photo shoot, but all you have to do is send that studio fee up front. Once you send the money, you never hear from them again. Now, I'm not saying there's not reputable model agencies out there that are looking for talent, but these are things that you need to be aware of. I'll tell you one that happened to me personally. My mother, for my birthday a couple of years ago, paid off my student loans. But when she was in the process of looking up how to pay off my student loans for me, she got a phone call. And this phone call, they had seen where she was looking online, and they had this great opportunity. They were going to knock a certain amount of the student loans off and all of that. Well, she called me really excited about this, and I knew that it didn't sound right, because if it sounds too good to be true, it usually is. So we researched it. We actually called where my student loans were. They'd never heard of these people. So my mom went through the proper routes to get them paid off, but that company kept calling my mom for probably about 3 months. They kept calling. They were trying to get her, we're going to knock $10,000 off of these student loans. All you have to pay is this amount right here. Now, if she would have done that, they would have received an awful lot of money, and I still would have had student loans, and my mom would have been out a lot of money. So these are things, again, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. So those are just some things to think about while you're online a lot during this time. And check back with us next week, as we're going to be going over a few more steps that you need to learn in order to earn this badge. As always, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you, and we'll see you soon.